everyone. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Bread for Soul Convos. This is the 98th episode that we've done, week 21, and I'm so stoked to be hosting the gents from Deep Town Jozi. And mainly because they've been such a prominent force, if I may put it that way, when it comes to events in the underground scene specifically, and we need these kind of events. I think without events really the scene isn't there, and to have people who are doing it so consistently, so regularly as well, I can assume it's not the easiest thing to do, but yet they bring such a dope event to the city every second week of the month in Johannesburg. And I have to welcome Carlo and Matt. Welcome to the show, gents.
What's up? Thanks, guys.
What's up, Matt?
Good to you, eh?
Cool,
Thanks for
bro.
having us.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all mine, bro. I think like firstly, like before we even get further into Deep Town, I want to ask you guys about Metro Ticket. Let me start with you, Matt. Um, where did you guys meet? How did this thing start for you guys?
So it was a whole back in school because me and Carl obviously went to school together, and we obviously just formed, like a love for the type of music that we both enjoy playing now, and that's where it obviously started back then. So it's been around for quite a while. Obviously we don't play as much anymore now because there's not as many gigs, but yeah, we still love to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to ask you then, Carlo, like when you guys are DJs first and then become promoters, is there ever a need for some kind of balance? Do you ever because you guys don't always play on your events, or do you always do? Like, how does it work for you guys? When do you decide, okay, now we need to go on?
Well, look, let me actually take it back to the school days where Matt mentioned we started playing together. When we wanted to kind of get out onto the club scene and all those places, it was very difficult to get bookings because there's so many DJs. So we figured let's create a platform for ourselves and we'll book ourselves. So in the in the beginning, we played every week at residents or as residents at Tokyo Star and Greenside, and that was for a good 3 4 years. And we created a platform for the people we wanted to book us to see what we were doing. So that's where the DJing and promoting kind of correlation comes in. Now, as the years have passed and as we've gotten older, and as myself and Matt have other interests and careers and businesses, uh, we've, I wouldn't say taken a step back from the DJing. It's just that the level of quality is so high out there that most of the guys are better than us. So we try to play maybe every 3 months at Deep Town Jozi. um, People must also remember that we have two distinct sounds that we play. We also play techno, so we kind of bounce between the two scenes. Um, one weekend we can be playing in Soweto, the next weekend at Modular in Cape Town, or Toy Toy. So it's very much a huge passion for both of us. But obviously, as promoters, we we want to take it a lot more professionally than we were a few years ago. So that requires a lot of time and money and all those things. So it's a balance of the two.
Yeah, yeah, and we will talk a bit about the money, because for me, doing this show has always been really about how can somebody looking up to guys like you start their own thing and actually make it work. Like looking into different aspects of the good and the bad, like the more difficult stuff to achieve, the things to really look out for, because I think it's not as easy thing as sometimes people assume that it is. Promoting an event and to do it on a regular basis, I can just imagine the kind of effort that goes into that.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of those things, but I want to ask you, Matt, man, because you guys work as a team, but like firstly, there's two of you guys as the main guys for Deep Town. How would you explain your different roles that you play, both of you in the whole Deep Town team?
Yeah, so it's it's been quite easy. I mean, Carlo's been quite involved, obviously, with bars for a very long time. So that's kind of what he will obviously take preference with. The setting up of the venue, we both do it together. I deal with the online ticketing, and then obviously the booking of the lineups is something that we do together. So we do have our own individual like parts that we deal with for the event, but as a whole, I think we kind of just we're so used to doing it now because we've been doing it for so many years that it's a natural thing. It just happens. We each just go into our separate ways and just obviously get it all set up and ready.
Yeah, I want to just get into that still with you, Matt, because you guys have been friends for some time and you're working together for some time as well. Do you ever get to a point where there's a need to call each other out if one part is lacking on the one thing? Man, you were meant to do the fucking tables and you're not doing the tables. Like, do you get to that
I
point,
mean,
or where somebody's dropping the ball and you have to kind of pull each other?
it's not often. I mean, it does happen every now and again. If we're running late, it's more than definitely does sometimes happen. But if we're on time, it's we just like overlook it and just carry on setting up the rest of the stuff and get it done at a later stage.
Yeah, yeah.
But not really.
No, I get it. I think also it's a thing that, um, maybe because there's two of you guys, and there's a level of understanding within the team, sometimes I find that the more you have more people involved, the more it can get chaotic easily. Like, it can get very difficult to manage somebody who's meant to be doing something and they're not doing it. But if it's like the both of you guys, I've got a friend of mine, we've done events in Mafikeng together, and it was like that kind of thing that, if I'm messing up, the guy will call me up, man, you dropping the ball, you should be doing this, 1 2 3, and we kind of move quickly like that. um I want to get to this thing, Carlo, because Matt touched on it a bit, and with regards to ticketing and, just, yeah, the ticketing aspect of the event. Have you guys had a ticketing issue that really messed you guys up?
No, you see, as Matt said, Matt is part of the Howler team. Also, he said he does the ticketing for us, and he's actually part of Howler, which everyone knows is one of the biggest ticketing platforms in this day and age. I see them as the biggest competition to someone like CompuTicket, who isn't really keeping up with the trends of the digital age. Whereas Howler has embraced that, to a T, constantly evolving, constantly new technologies. So on Matt's behalf, I can say we've never had a single ticket issue.
Wow.
Yeah, ticketing, I mean, it helps to have someone like Matt running that for us, because he's his own client almost. So we're very fortunate, with me having my bar company. Uh, these are massive resources available to us, which help bring the budget down and increase the ticket sales, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because Matt is managing huge accounts like Ultra and Bushfire and massive events like this, and these guys are utilizing the latest marketing technologies, search engine optimization, etc. So Matt helps us with that knowledge that he's got from Howler.
Yeah.
The same way I help with my bar knowledge from running bars for lots of these events.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very much of a powerful synergy where 1+1 = 3, because together we create something much
Yeah.
greater that beyond us individually.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's the same as the music, as with Metro Ticket. The two of us have very different styles actually, but when we play together, we create this new genre of wonky house/techno.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got a very strong partnership. You're right in saying that two people, sometimes there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and guys are just pointing fingers or
Yeah.
whatever. but we able to raise an issue, um, just calmly discuss it, and by discussing an issue, we always get to the best decision because we will question each other. What about this? Oh, you forgot about this. And so no decision is taken lightly. It's a lot of back and forth conversation, whether it's ticketing, bars, the stock list, whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Yeah, and just because you mentioned in Buzz, I wanna do ask you about, because you host the event in different venues. Sometimes it's like a venue like Barbecue Rooftop, which is an already
Yes.
running venue, and sometimes you take it to the tennis club, which doesn't really open regularly. Do does the deal differ in that sense in terms of what
Yes.
you guys get
Yes.
at the bar and stuff?
Yes. So there's two types of hires. There's a dry hire where you rent the venue, you rent the shell. So you pay a flat fee, which is generally a lot higher because not many people are just going to hand out their venue. And then you have the right to run the bar and take all the takings. But it's not as easy as it sounds because at the same time you run all the risk. If you're paying 30,000 Rand for a venue hire, which is more or less what a small venue for 500 people costs, you might have to get a liquor license, which is another 3,000. Next, your bill's 100,000 Rand. It's a lot of money you need to take in from the event. So there's a risk there because if it's a flop, if it rains, etc., you stand to lose tens of thousands of rands. The other scenario is a profit share with venue owners because these venue owners have bars running, so we can't just come in and clean out their bar and now do our own thing. So that requires a lot more discussion and structuring a profit share from the bar. But I can tell you it's a lot more difficult for us because now we've got to work with other people's ideas and opinions, and it's difficult because me and Matt have our vision and our way of doing things. So we try to actually stay away from the profit shares. And our model is to hire a venue and run the bar and run the full production, speakers, tents, furniture, everything from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. I want to get a bit into marketing with you, Matt. Man, like your event. I don't know if you've ever. I mean, you guys will tell me if you've ever really had an empty event. But like your event seems to be well supported. Like I want to get into marketing. How do you guys market Deep Town Jozi? Like, if you guys could let us know. I want the source.
So that's probably the hardest part of the whole model. It takes up the most time. So we actually we've got a company called New Age Explorer who obviously take full control of this for us. So they've got a team on their side who deals with obviously the boosting and publishing of all the different content. They reply to people on social media. So yeah, it's very rarely that we get involved in it, but we obviously do at the end of the day have the final say on what we want to go out, when we want it to go out. So this is something that like when I said we obviously have our different things that we branch into. This is one of them that obviously Carlo takes quite a big lead on. So yeah, I mean, if you've got anything else you want to add in,
Yeah.
but it's quite a challenging.
Yeah, so it's actually two parts. So Matt's described the first part, which is a professional company, which costs a bit of money, as well as the ad budget on Google and Facebook. Then there's the designer as well. And we use a very good designer. His name's Marcus. He's got a company called Marcus Wolf Design. And he's spending hours illustrating these drawings of the DJs and the look and feel. And the long story short is you need to spend a bit of money to get those results. We all try to do social media ourselves because we can. Maybe we've got a little bit of Photoshop skills and copywriting skills, but we all know when it comes to executing it every day across all your different pages, your personal page, your business, your mom's cake shop, whatever, you can't keep up because, copywriting alone takes 30 minutes for a post, up to an hour. Thank you. So I think what's important to note, it's not just me and Matt doing all of this. We've built a team below us that we manage and supervise. And as Matt says, we've been doing this for so many years now, Deep Town for close to 10 and Deep Town Jozi close to 4. And because of the consistency of Deep Town Jozi every month, it's very difficult for us to make the same mistake twice, So we always, we start planning the next Deep Town Jozi a week before the upcoming one. So on Monday, we're ready to launch the new flyer. Not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Guys are still hungover by then. Tuesday, Wednesday, the flyer is ready and out. Now, to make that happen, there's a lot of preparation. You need to confirm the lineup, confirm the fees with the DJs, speak to the designer 2 weeks before so he knows who the headliner is so he can start illustrating it. And then coordinating with the social media team to have the posts out on time. We can't put the event out a week or 10 days before the next event because it's not enough time to reach the amount of people that we need to, So it's a lot of organization, preparation, and I would just say school fees. As we learn from a mistake, it goes onto a checklist of all the previous mistakes. If we run out of ice or something, we make sure that never happens again. We increase the levels of ice on the order, with the design, sometimes we've been late in confirming the DJs. So the artwork is ready to go, but the DJs aren't confirmed, so we can't put the artwork out. So it's a lot of planning and organization, and with the help of a team, the social media guys and the designer. It's very important to have an aesthetic that's pleasing to people's eyes every time they see the posts, I must say the level of design generally is very good out there, but we've tried to take it another level with an actual illustrator who's hand drawing the artists, opposed to a Photoshop collage of palm trees and speakers, etc., which is also fine, but we've got our look and feel, and that's how we want it.
I mean, I like that about Deep Town as well. Like anything that's built and has some quality imaging towards it, like it supports the movement. It makes it more professional. But also something that you mentioned with regards to a team, I feel that it's such we cannot state it enough. Just building a team. I've been to events where the promoter is maybe the closing DJ, for his event. He's collecting all the cash, he's doing all the marketing. He needs to be paying all the DJs and all of that, and it becomes very chaotic, to manage. Because
he's answering the phone while he's playing.
Dude, you know what I mean? Like, guys at the gate, man, I need to come in, stuff like that. And I want to get into, before I get into DJs, Matt, because Carlo mentioned making mistakes and learning from mistakes. Would you remember like one or two, even if it's one really mistake that was really worth not repeating, something that could have terribly went wrong when it comes to eventing, or specifically with Deep Town Jozi?
So I mean, I don't know if it's a curse or what it is, but we don't always have the best luck with the best weather at our events. So the last event, which could have gone horribly wrong, was when we had black loops, and we checked the weather apps, and we made a call not to get a tent. And with our luck, it just changed, and it started to rain, and rain hectically.
Shit.
And thank goodness we had gazebos. Well, we didn't have gazebos, but we had umbrellas to try and cover the sound. We had to obviously turn the sound off for about an hour and a half, and just pray that it was obviously going to clear. But in that state, that's just from experience. Like we just shot out. We went and got gazebos just in case it happens again. But thank goodness it didn't, and it obviously turned out to be a good event.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, there's
I,
a lot
I,
of
I want
small
to
little
follow
things.
up on what Matt has said because I've learned something from him. Uh, so bigger mistakes we've made, and I'll take responsibility, is in the past we've had events where the ticket sales haven't been very good, and we can see on the Thursday we've got torrential rain downpouring the whole day, you know. And you know, as a promoter, you always hope that it's going to clear up and maybe people come to buy tickets at the door. And there's times where Matt has said, I think we should rather postpone this or cancel it because the damage is going to be more from trying to do the event than maybe paying some cancellation fees to the DJs and refunding people. And it's that pride and ego thing, you know. It's always like, let's try. And that's a lesson I've learned is when there's the odds are against you, don't try to do the event. Rather take a step back and actually move it to another weekend. Even if there is a bit of a backlash, you're going to get some complaints, but it's better than putting on a 200 grand production or whatever the case and 50 to 100 people arrive, you know?
yeah. I have to ask
So with
Matt
the,
about that because then, when would you think is the right time to take such a decision? Like, is it 5 days before, or is it like 3 day? Like, when would it be like a good time to be like, you know what, this is not gonna work out. Let's can this.
So I mean, one thing that we enjoy about using tennis club is that if it is going really bad and we need to make that call, we can always go downstairs and go indoor. It's not our first preference, but we have obviously done that in situations where it's like there's no point in trying to beat the weather because you're not going to beat it. So let's just bite the bullet, go downstairs. Some people aren't happy about it, but for the event as a whole, it's a better decision to obviously move it downstairs. People are warm, they're cold, but yeah,
Yeah,
there is no.
I'd say first prize is to have a plan B, like what we've done now, is have a venue that caters for that worst case scenario. It varies. You've got to use your discretion, but I would say not less than 2 3 days. So people
Internet issues.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Carlos, by the time he finishes this sentence, yeah, we'll be
Yeah,
far.
it's only
Anyway,
one word that he said.
yeah, no, Carlos, we'll wait for him to for his internet to really sort itself out. But let me ask you, Matt, bro. Like, when it comes to DJs, right? There's a lot of DJs obviously in our scene, um,
Yeah,
and a lot of good DJs, for that matter. Where,
yeah.
like, how do you guys decide then, that okay, this is the lineup that we need to be going for?
I mean, it's based like there's a lot of DJs that we have full trust in, and that like they deliver a great set every single time that they play, and it's people that the crowd obviously want to see. So we obviously like to bring in new up and coming DJs, either to open or close, just to try and give them a platform, and hopefully like they really do take off, and we can bring them on board for more sets. Like Judy J is a perfect example of that. Like she like blew us away the first time she played there at Rooftop Barbecue, and yeah, ever since that day we were like, we need to get her on board because there's something big that's about to happen with this girl. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we've got our personal preferences. It's the guys that deliver time and time again, and it's what the fans want to see as well. I mean, they do give us a lot of help sometimes. We've got some guys who, if they do see the new up and coming DJs in Soweto or wherever else, they do send the names through, and we do take it into heart, and we do obviously consider booking them, of which we do, normally book the new guys who a lot of people haven't heard before.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I like about the event. Like, is that as much as you would have a Vinny Da Vinci on the lineup, but on the same lineup you'll have a Judy J, and you'll have somebody
Yeah,
completely unknown to the masses.
yeah,
But like, giving that opportunity to many different DJs. I feel like it also adds, a lot of color to the event. It's not only like
Yeah.
about having a star-studded lineup where popular DJs only. Also because there's a lot of DJs in our scene, a lot of good ones. Sometimes I feel events, you feel like events keep on recycling the same kind of DJs. But I want to ask you, still with you, welcome back, Carlo. We're still with you, Matt.
Sorry.
How do you then, do you ever get that it needs to be a strong balance between having a headliner, having someone people know and like, and then having unknown people? Is there ever anything conflicting when you look at, okay, we need a strong lineup to get more people? Is it always the case, rather, with Deep Town, that when you have the strong lineups, automatically that means you've got a bigger attendance?
Well, I mean, lineup definitely plays a big part in whether you're gonna, get the most people to your event or not. But we strive to have the best lineup we can every single event that we obviously host. So it's not quite hard for us to decide obviously who we want to book. We do have our regular residents that play regularly, and then obviously we like to have a headliner as well as up and coming DJs just to support the rest of them.
Yeah, yeah. And Carlo, like, I saw this year already during lockdown, I was like, hey, these guys are very serious, because at the beginning of lockdown, you were already announcing resident DJs, with Boutle and Cat La Cat, who are obviously like, one of some of the dope DJs that we have in our scene. And recently, you've just announced Judy J too. What does this actually mean when it comes to resident DJs? The one, especially specifically the ones that you've announced. Does it mean that they're gonna be playing every Deep Town gig, or like, if you guys could explain, you, Carlo?
Okay, cool. To follow on what Matt was saying, the lineup compromises of a formula that we've figured out, which is basically the headliner followed by two, maybe two, three sub headliners, then the residents in the middle, and then two, three slots for up and coming DJs. So now the residents fit into the middle there, as I said. And the idea of why we added more is so we can increase the rotation of the residents. And you see, we're also looking at slightly lowering the hours of the event because 2 till 2 a.m. is a bit long-winded. So we're thinking 2 to 12, maybe 2 to 11. We'll see how lockdown unfolds. But the point is, we want residents to actually be the core of the lineup, and then the guests complement or the residents complement the guests. So just more of a regular rotation. Guys won't be playing every month, but there will be at least 2, 3 residents on the lineup.
Yeah, yeah. And Matt, while you were trying to connect to reconnect, Carlo did mention Judy J. Who's recently, especially late last year and most of this year, has been really getting a lot of traction. She's getting popular and popular. She's a good DJ, obviously. But I want to know, like, bringing somebody like her, who's fairly like new, like a new artist, as a resident to such an event like Deep Town. What does that do, like, for you guys? Or what was the discussion really between the both of you guys to bring her on?
Like if for me, if you look at some of the comments on the posts, you see comments like fresh blood, new blood, the youth. So we figured it was time to give a resident spot to a young and upcoming DJ, opposed to other guys who have worked years to get to that point. And she just ticks all the boxes: the music, the mixing, the curation. Her popularity obviously is helps a lot because we're reaching a lot more people now. To be recognized by the president is no small feat. That was what got me to call Matt. I said, the president's just spoken about this girl, and it's not even about that. It's her music and her level of skill warrants her to be a resident.
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about creating more lineups with female representation because, as you know, Deep House is heavily male dominated in the DJ aspect and the attendee aspect. So the whole thing about equality is just bringing the two sides closer together. So now we've got 10 guys and one girl on the lineup. We want 7 guys and 3 girls, so we can eventually get to a 50-50 mix, which is a true representation of people in the country. So just the timing and just a whole bunch of factors made it a no-brainer to us to add her to the list.
Yeah, super. I love that so much, man. And another thing that I like about her is that just the attitude, the willingness to know that you are new, but also be willing to learn. For me, it's something that even some of the older people who've been doing it for some time have missed, that like that giving yourself that will, that okay, I'm gonna learn, and treat yourself like a new artist almost all the time. I see Bushlet doing it, even though she's been playing for such a long time, but she's always willing to try and learn new things, and for me that's like one of the good aspects of a good DJ or a good artist. And while we're talking about Judy J, I've got a voice note from her. I'm gonna play it, and then we'll carry on with the conversation.
This is Judy, but I'm known as Judy J. I'm a DJ and a producer. I started following the event Deep Jozi back in 2017 when I started DJing. Only got to attend it last year, 2019. Fortunate enough, I got a residency this year, which is quite exciting. Deep Jozi is one of the events which one wouldn't want to miss, especially if you are into electronic music. As a youngster in the industry who is learning things on a regular basis, I feel that my experience and the love and support I've always received from those who I've surrounded myself with have helped Juriji grow so much in such a short space of time. I am truly blessed and honored to have been recognized by the Deep Jozi founder. Having played there twice, both experiences were breathtaking. As such, I am really looking forward to sharing my love for music with the patrons. I promise not to let you guys down, and I will do my best to bring a dynamic experience, and most importantly, I will have fun while doing so. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Super. I love that so much. And
Yeah,
Matt, I have
that's
to
great.
ask you this, man, like, because this is so. One guy asked me the same question, like, how do these guys? Because when I posted that I'm hosting you guys today, he sent me an email saying, please, I need to know how to get on as an up and coming DJ. How do you guys like find the new ones and actually decide that okay, we're gonna give this person a chance? What informs that? And I'm assuming that you are getting 100,000 requests almost all the time, from new DJs who want to be playing on Deep Town. How do you guys decide who to put on?
So from my side, I'd like to give thanks to MacD and Cha and Cabo Mokwena, who are true deep house patriots and warriors. They run the C7 gang and formed a very close relationship with guys like that, as well as many other people. I can't name all of them. And it's people like this who have become advisors to me in many ways. I get a lot of recommendations from those guys because they much more connected into the scene. and they will send us links, they will send us mixes, and obviously we listen to them, and then we've got a short list where we've got hundreds of names, and obviously the better, the higher up the list you are. So I mean, I'm proud to share that little secret, because those guys have really helped us a lot over the years. Then there's obviously the just random coincidences. During lockdown, I started renting out CDJs just to keep going. And I also started renting out studio space for people to come and just record their mixes. Now, these guys don't know that I'm from D-Town or whatever. And I'm in my room sitting and I'm listening to these guys, and they're actually unbelievable, unknown DJs. Guys with not even one mutual friend on my Facebook, because I would always go vet people to see that they are right. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, there's guys out there that no one even knows about. So I will hear someone like that and say, shit, this guy deserves an opportunity. So it's very difficult because of the limited amount of slots on the lineup. This is exactly the reason why me and Matt don't play every week, because there's so much talent out there. We've had our heyday in our 20s, enjoying clubs and festivals. Let's give the youngsters an opportunity, because 99 out of 100 times they're going to deliver. And so yeah, it's just keeping an ear out. Often you see guys talking on Facebook about someone. Whenever I see that, I instantly go and hunt them out. And so look, we're very lucky. There's no shortage of DJs out there. With our formula of the headliners taking up 2 slots, the residents, and only 2 or 3 slots left for the talent out there, the job is easy. We've got lineups done for the next 6 months because we do one and then we've got to start on the next one. So now with COVID, we've got lineups for the next 12 months.
Because we are waiting for such a long time, right?
Yeah, we had lineups ready before. As I said, after Black Loops, on Tuesday we would have gone live with the next lineup. But obviously Cyril spoke, and that changed the whole game.
Yeah. And Matt, something that someone is asking on my Facebook, Udirili, he's saying that how do you guys come up with the idea of doing the event almost kind of mid-month? Because the second Saturday of the month is not always like that month end. Sometimes it's kind of like 14th. It's almost really mid-month. Why do you guys decide on the second Saturday of the month?
Well, I mean, from my experience of doing this for close to 12 years now, we don't see the point in fighting over getting people to your event on the first and last weekend of the month, because that's the most common weekend for people to do events, because it's when people are flush with cash. So we've just chosen, let's try and go in the middle. It's known by everyone. It's in the middle of the month. We don't have to compete with too many other events. Yes, it's not obviously the most ideal time, but it's worked for us, and it's just something that we're going to stick to, so that we don't have to worry about going on the same day as Spring Fiesta, for example. So it's just something that we've just
or Casper's Fill Up the Dome, or Black Coffee's Africa Rising. These big events are consistently on the first and last Saturday of the month. We're naturally going to lose some patrons to those events. So by moving a weekend afterwards, people still have money. I take pride in the quality of our customers. All young professionals, guys have money to spend, and that way we avoid clashing with 90% of the events out there. I always like to say, let the pawns go out first, and then we'll do the next Saturday.
I hear you. And Matt, tell me, bro, I want to ask you about money, right? Because as much as this is a passion, as much as it's something that you guys do so passionately, and it's a good thing for the scene, but is it a sustainable thing to be doing every month, in your view?
So I'll be brutally honest here. Without having sponsors, it's not possible. It really doesn't make it it like, and our good
Eyeball.
advice is, if people want to actually go and do this type of stuff, you're taking a very big risk if you're going to do it without sponsors, because yes, you can have some good events, but you can have some which don't go to plan at all, and you end up losing a lot of money, which we've experienced that a couple of times. So
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
having the sponsors, it makes it a lot easier to do it. And yeah, it's good and bad days. It's just the game.
Yeah, and before I asked Carlo about the sponsors that you guys sometimes or usually work with, let me ask you, because you mentioned like losing money. What's the biggest amount of money you guys have lost in one event?
Look, I'm very proud to say we haven't lost anything over like 40,000 Rand, 50,000 Rand between the two of us. And I'm proud to say that because there's horror stories out there of guys losing 2 million Rand or 4 million Rand on one night. I've seen it firsthand with my bar company. I run the bar, the event's a huge flop. And, me and Matt we always say that we learn school fees from other people. When you see other people learning lessons, you should take that lesson, and it's exactly like I said about postponing an event if it needs to be done. So we've made that call a few times and saved ourselves a lot of money. Because when you add up all the expenses at the end of the day, it's a hell of a budget. Beat Town is no less than 100,000 Rand every month. Now, we can do a quick calculation. 300 people, let's say 400 people, we average at about 400. At $100 a ticket is 40,000 Rand, right? Now, 400 people is a hell of a lot of people. That's a good party.
Yeah.
But we still got 60,000 Rand to make. So the bar maybe makes that amount, more or less. So on 400 people, you're just breaking even. So with the sponsors then make it profitable. But it's not profitable if you working for free, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people always ask us about the sponsors, and they ask for their numbers and stuff like that. And, the answer is simple. It's the proposal. You got to work on a proposal which is brief, it's good looking. So you can imagine our flyers. Our proposals look like the flyers with good imagery. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. The third part of the marketing is the photography from the event. We always use nice lifestyle images. Now, those images go in the proposal. It's not a 10-page text document talking about your love of music. They want to know about the volumes you're moving, the type of people you're expecting. And, the meetings, the sponsors are out there. Just go into LinkedIn and type Red Bull or whatever, and you will get their contacts. But it's the proposal that's the key, because a lot of guys just send an email or they send a WhatsApp. No one's going to take you seriously. On the proposal, you should list what you are able to offer in terms of a return on investment. We only have our sponsors because we're selling huge volumes of their stock. We sell close to 100 cases of Corona, or Flying Fish or Sol or whoever the beer sponsor is. For 400 people, that's a good ROI for the sponsor. They're actually not spending money because we are paying them the money for them to pay us back. Because we could go with another beer if they didn't want to sponsor us. So it's the proposal and the contacts. As I say, you can go Google or you can phone up these companies and say, can I have this person's number? And many corporates out there have actual sponsorship submission forms on their website, like Nando's, like Outsurance. So it's just the work that you put in. The proposal I worked like weeks because I wanted to save money by because you got to employ a designer now to lay this thing out, and you were trying to save money, and it took weeks to get it to the level that we wanted it, and that's the foot in the door. No one's just going to arrange a meeting with Joe Soap. the moment they see a proposal that speaks to them and it's well crafted and nice to look at, you've got the meeting. And then the meetings for us generally go well because we've got the history of Deep Town. So it's very hard for a sponsor to say, sorry, this is not for us. What do you mean? We're selling all the stock, we're giving
Yeah.
you free marketing, your logos over here. So we kind of set ourselves a head above the rest. I feel a lot of brands don't offer the sponsors actual value for what they're getting paid for.
Bruh, and the thing that you mentioned with regards to photos, I think is such an important thing. Guys, invest in a photographer. Just as much as you'd invest in a good lineup, because all of that at the end of the day, after the event, you've got like really good proof of what went down. And even better, if you are doing the by yourself and you are able to show the volumes that you are able to move, because sponsors, they are really about, are we gonna sell volumes? Are we gonna sell our items there, or is it just us putting money into a black hole? It doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned, Carlo, but I want to ask Matt about it, like this thing of ladies at deep house events not having enough ladies. Has that bothered you guys? I mean, it does definitely sometimes get to me.
It doesn't like really bother us. It is something that we are trying to work on to obviously get those numbers up. And one of the things that Carla mentioned is obviously maybe reducing the hours of the event to make it more of a come have lunch type event. Instead of just having lunch somewhere else and coming afterwards and then just partying till late. So we are obviously trying to. There's certain things that we're working on with sponsors to try and increase the interest for the ladies. But it's not something that really bothers us. It's something that we are trying to obviously just work on to get it to like a level that we're happy with.
Or
And
equal level.
you know,
Can I tell you why it's not a problem? It's because not one person there is there to look for ladies. Every single person that comes to a deep house party comes for the music. So, something I'm also very proud about in 4 years that we've been doing Deep Town Jozi, we haven't had one fight. We haven't had one situation where a woman was approached unnecessarily. And, we have 2 bouncers, 3 bouncers. We never have any issues there. And it's, for me, that's the important part, is the people are coming for the music. If you look at hip hop parties and a lot of other scenes, guys are going for the women, and that's not my kind of party. Obviously, it's nice to look at some ladies, and that's what Matt is saying. We're working on that. So we just, more welcome cocktails and maybe more seating, because ultimately we do want an equal representation of every type of color, sexuality, gender, equally mixed at the event, So I open this invite to ladies out there. Please come to Deep Town, and know that you will be safe there. And it's actually ironic because a deep house party is one of the safest spaces for women, but they don't go there,
Yeah.
So, ladies, please. I'm single.
What I have to say though also is that when I say like it does get to me sometimes, it's like not in a bad way, like I obviously feel like whoever wants to come in and enjoy the music needs to come and enjoy the music. If I see like 90% guys attending the event, I'm not suddenly feeling otherwise. But I must say that also guys need to stop complaining about not seeing ladies at the event when they themselves are not bringing their girlfriends.
Yeah,
I go
exactly.
to all of my gigs with my girlfriend. I've got no issues with that. She enjoys the music. Then the problem I think needs to be, how do we get deep house DJs girlfriends to enjoy deep house? I think then we can sort this thing out. Just in closing, I want to ask you guys, do you guys know, because there's some regulars whenever I go to deep town, there's some people I'm like, this guy is always here, like this guy is always attending. You've got those people who like religiously support the movement. like how do you guys work it? I'm sure like there's also already like some kind of relationships now that you guys built with these regular followers of the event.
I think the key word there is relationships. Is over the years since day one when we met Mavutu and Busle, and these are the regulars you're talking about. From day one when we met them, we formed a relationship with them, and we instantly became friends with these guys. And it's the ongoing maintenance of these relationships that has allowed us to have this posse of people that arrive there week, month in, month out, without fail, with a kettle or whatever the case. And it's beyond the relationship; it's the friendships. And what used to annoy me growing up and aspiring and looking up to DJs is I would often go up to a hero of mine and he would completely snub me and have no time for me. Never mind become a friend; he wouldn't even give me time. And then I'd look at this guy and say, well, this guy's a puss. And my perception of him changed. So myself and Matt really, enjoy being friends with every single person who comes to Deep Town. And I believe that's where the loyalty comes, because they know they can come have a drink with us. They can advise us on the lineup. They can, all the banter on the Monday when there's a guy who messed up a mix. So my Facebook has changed vastly in the last 3 years, because I've made all these new friends.
Yeah.
So my timeline is just the Deep House feed, obviously, and then I just follow the comments both here and Joburg and in Cape Town. I mean, that's the thing, is we've built a loyalty with some of the Cape Town people. Even they're flying up every now and then to come join us. The We Are Sundays guys. And I feel it's because we took the time to get to know them, and we. So that's another thing I'm very proud about, is this bridge that we formed between Cape Town and Joburg. The two loyal crews have actually amalgamated, and these guys cross over to We House Sundays, Deep Town Jozi. They host each other. And as I say, my Facebook feed is now pictures of these guys at each other's cities, going to each other's parties. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
man.
hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, definitely does. It does. Matt, just in closing, I want to ask you this. I forgot to get to this question with regards to, like you mentioned, We House Sundays. Like Carlo mentioned, We House Sundays, and sometimes you'd see that you guys would share, like a headliner. Jimster was here, and he did their festival, and he also played for Deep Town Josie. With that, how often does that happen, especially when it comes to international DJs? Because the expense is so much more, like the cost is so much more to bring one guy to just come for Deep Town. How often
Yeah.
does it happen that those collaborations?
So I mean, we chat to the We Are Sundays guys on a regular basis, and obviously, if they've got an international they're wanting to bring out, they reach out to us, and vice versa. Yeah, because like you said, it is the cost to bring one of them out it's enormous. So for us to do it on our own, it doesn't make sense at all. So if they aren't available to obviously take an international, and we can't find someone else, the likelihood of us cancelling international is quite a common thing, because it's just the cost is way too high to obviously do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are other guys that we do chat to if we else aren't available, but because of the link that we're forming with them, we obviously do reach out to them first, for all of our internationals.
We're very lucky because we're very aligned with them, and their sound is like 98%, 99% the same. So it's when Dave reaches out to us and vice versa, we almost all the time agree on the artists that we are proposing, because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate to have that, because we wouldn't be able to do it by ourselves. It would just be too much.
Yeah.
The dream would be to have a place in Durban a scene in Durban that was strong enough to take a hosting. And Pretoria as well should start booking more DJs. So we plan to we've chatted with Clement from Transmike Soul Sessions a few
Yes.
times
Yeah.
about sharing artists. We actually were getting the process going, and then COVID came.
Yeah.
But the more we work together, the more we will achieve together. That's the simple matter of the fact.
Yeah. That's such a dope thing, man. And I really hope to see that happening a lot more, not only just with your events, but like other guys who are doing a regular thing. I think people need to get to a point where they are open to collaboration, especially where it's not you're not sharing the same target market. Like if you're in Cape Town and Joburg, it's completely two different markets in terms. If as much as the music is the same, like you mentioned, Durban and Pretoria too. I just wish that to see more of that happening in our scene. But gents, like I think we can pack it here. You guys shared so much information with regards to the event. Just in closing, I have to ask you this one last question. I keep saying this. One last question, Matt. Where is there like a bigger vision for Deep Town? Is there like a bigger thing that you guys want to do with the event, or are you just taking it as time goes?
I mean, we do have like goals that we want to achieve, but for now, I think it's a manageable event. It speaks to the people. Everyone enjoys it. It's working for us. I don't think there's any point in trying to expand it quicker than what it's growing, because then you end up lining yourself up for failure. So I think for now we're pretty happy with the way it's going. We are obviously
Quality
going
over
to try and
quantity.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's working for us. It's
Sometimes bigger is not better.
Yeah.
Because people always want to grow, and then so they, let's say you add a second floor, or then you do a public holiday one, and that's greed. What we're doing now is working for us. So rather refine the model and improve what we're doing now to the best that it can be, then try and expand and go beyond our capabilities. And then, as Matt says, you set yourself up for failure, because you get one of those days where it's hailing and you lose 300,000 rand at a party. You now can't do the next parties. So got to be very wise about expansion and overcapitalizing.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I get it, definitely, guys. I just want to say thank you firstly for joining me on the show this morning, and for sharing as well about your event, your journey. I really have so much respect for this movement of yours, gents. And I wish you all the best.
Thanks, brother. Thank you for doing this. I mean, I didn't realize it was 98 shows, but it's really amazing that you've done this, and I'm sure you've shared a lot of light. And it's the best time to be doing this. We can't be partying now, so we should be planning now. We should be learning. I'm sure through all your episodes, guys can get a free degree in DJing and throwing parties. So good on you, and let's hope we're all behind the decks as soon as possible.
Yeah, man. I hope to get back on the lineup too, because the first time I had a chance to, and I understand this because of the type of music that I play most of the time. I was playing kind of quite early, like nice mood. But I really would like to come through eventually at some point.
You're gonna be back.
I want my picture to be drawn too at some point, in
Yeah,
the future.
exactly.
All right, Jez. No, thank you
Thanks,
so much.
brother.
Hey, tada.
Thanks so much. Thanks to everyone for watching.
Sure. And to everyone who's watching, thank you so much for watching this. Please tag somebody in the comment section who might learn from the show, from the episode, and share the video so more people can see it. Otherwise, let's remember to stay creative. Peace.
Peace, guys.